ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Scintillation of the
Zero BC.
Well, since then, how many people, how many gigs, and how many records have been involved? And by records, I don't mean re-releases, picture discs, whatever.
No, I mean actual records, separate from all the different versions of the different records. I think we're somewhere around the 15 mark. I've really forgotten. I don't know.
And how many people?
How many different people in the band? Well, I tend to look at the whole thing as, you know, a society verging and emerging into the new world. But as actual performers on stage under the name of Christian Death, it's got to be over about, getting close to 30 or more. I don't know, I lost track. It's the same thing, you know. And there are some more changes right now going on.
So, but how many gigs?
Oh, gigs. How many gigs have we done? Oh. there's probably been... There's usually about 30 a tour in Europe. And we've been touring every year since 1984, so that's 5 years worth of 30, so 550 gigs there. And then there's American gigs, and then there's... that includes England when I say Europe and stuff like that. But, I don't know, 200?
Well, should Christian death music be piped into hospital operating theatres?
Most definitely. I mean, we've got people who write to us who have various different degrees of human symptoms of survival and live in various places such as what some people call nut houses, you know, sanatoriums, institutions such as prison, institutions such as being in the army. We've got a lot of, you'd be surprised how many GIs and RAF, you know, serving in one country's armed forces, you know, from Germany to the United States. There's a girl from Hong Kong who's a prostitute who writes to us and tells us about her problems. There's lots of different people that find some sort of comfort from what they perceive to be their form of relaxation or relief from the anxieties of society from these records that we make. And that pleases me immensely.
Well, what are the main things they say they get from it then?
Well, something that perplexes me is I tend to write my lyrics ambiguously. And I'm very amazed when people actually write to me or to the society explaining what it is they like about a particular song and what this song means to them. And not 9 out of 10 times, generally 10 out of 10 times. When they're describing the songs and what it means to them, they've got it exactly the way I meant it, even though I probably went out of my way to be ambiguous. Generally, I'm ambiguous about my lyrics because I'm afraid that I might be writing about a topic that's far too depressing for someone to deal with and who's probably suicidal, who might take it the wrong way and use that as a good reason for snuffing it, because I've known 2 people that were very dear to me that actually killed themselves listening to other records, you know? And I just didn't want to be responsible for that kind of tragedy. And there are people who have no idea about what the songs are about or don't write about the songs. They just say to you, say it's band and what are your religious beliefs? And, you know, and we get a lot of people who sign the letters in blood and stuff like that, as though that's supposed to be the kind of way we do things. Well,
do some of that violence and say this is easier?
No, bandages. I mean, really, we get a lot of people who, like, sign the letters in blood and, like, blood stains and stuff on it. And I don't know why they do that. I guess it's like, maybe it's trendy or something, you know?
Or stupid.
I won't go so far as to say that.
But is there any reason to believe that these people like Hong Kong prostitutes, German squaddies, people living on an extreme edge of something, find something in music that other people being around in a normal job might not?
Well, you've definitely got to take it deep. You know, I mean, if you don't sit down in your living room and listen to the record at least once without anyone bothering you, the likelihood of you figuring out an iota of what it's about is probably not going to happen. I must point out that we get a lot of people who write to me in French or Italian or whatever, and they don't understand the lyrics at all, and yet they still describe the meaning of the song to them just from what the music has said. And that even surprises me more, because what I generally do is I write the words first, and then after the words, the music is molded around those words to convey the emotions of the lyrics. So the emotional content of what the words are about seems to ring true to some people who take the time to at least feel it or have some sort of ESP to tap into it.
But have you ever had, like Mr. Fat Businessman, total, like, normal toilet brain? come up to you and say, you know, your records mean something to them. And it can actually go beyond the age barrier as well.
Yeah, we've had, you know, people that some of our other listeners and appreciators might term as old farts come along and say, you know, I really dig this, man. But I certainly wouldn't call them toilet brains or anything. Usually because they have an open mind that they can expand from the era which is, you know, obviously not theirs. I mean, they're probably, you know, from another generation, and they still are into it, you know. I mean, we've got people with, there's one particular letter that amazes me. Whenever we get letters from Salt Lake City, which is a very, very heavily monitored religious society in America, you know, I'm surprised that, you know, that if it goes to their own homes that they get the post, but I'm surprised it even gets through the Salt Lake City with our postal address, Christian Death Society, on it. Yet we've got one particular family that's got, you know...
The Osmonds?
Probably the Osmonds, I don't know. I can't remember the name, but they've got kids and stuff, and, you know, I think they're in their latter years of parenthood, and they're totally into the band, and they say that to them and their children, the band means the world, and that means a lot to me.
Do they send you pictures of their family?
No. A lot of people ask us for photographs. Of course, the old average merchandise thing goes out there saying that you can buy photographs because we can't afford to send everybody photographs or ask for them. But what we've decided to do is to give them free photographs, provided they send us a free photograph of themselves so that we know who we're talking to, you know? So that's going to be the next thing we've decided.
Any horror shows come back so far?
No, we haven't done it yet. That's the thing. It should be quite an amusing time getting back these letters with, I don't know, whatever, and put on them. You get people putting on their plastic fangs and shit, you know, or their real ones, whatever.
I was going to ask, were you christened Valor?
I certainly was.
You were?
Mm-hmm.
Why was that? What was your mother thinking of at the time?
I just got through telling this to Daniel Dax a couple of days ago. I had to show her all my Barclay cards and shit. She didn't believe me.
But I mean, at school you must have gone through hell, wasn't you?
Valerie.
Valerie.
Yeah, I got that a lot.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Before you got here.
Well, you were?
Yeah.
Why?
So, Valor is going to be short for something?
Yeah, no, just Valor.
Oh, and what's on the passport?
On my passport? No, just Valor.
Yeah, but actually, like your profession.
Oh, my profession. I generally just say to them, pop star. They just laugh it off. You know, they just let me go, you know. I mean, we went through New York once, and this guy was giving me a lot of shit, customs agent. And he was like, you know, he was saying, you're bringing back any, you know, illegal substances and stuff like that, narcotics or anything like that. Have you ever been a communist and all this kind of stuff? And he said, you know, what's the guitar and all this stuff? And I said, oh, I'm in a band. He says, what's the name of the band? I said, Christian Death. He says, hey, I'm from California, Christian Death, I know you guys. It was like, I was completely blown away that this conservative guy was, you know, I mean, you know, it's not like we're Michael Jackson or anything, you know.
So no finger up the bottom?
No, that was a nice occasion. No, I didn't get the old plastic glove treatment. In Italy, every time we go through Italy, it's always like, you know, signing autographs and giving them T-shirts, but they don't care who you are. They just they can just tell that you're part because you're driving a great big bus and stuff, you know, and they figure that you guys, you know, you're more famous, so they'll take the autographs anyway, and then they flog them off on the street. You know, I don't know what they do with them. We drove through France, and they confiscated like 500 T-shirts. And our tour manager was jumping up and down. He's like, fucking frogs, god damn it! He's freaking out, you know, he's like, we come back, he says, what's wrong? He says, we're supposed to have had a carnet for those T-shirts, and we didn't have one. So, like, normally you just give them a couple of T-shirts, and they just, like, wave you on. They wanted 500. So I just wondered what they did with them, you know. What are the customs agents in France going to do with 500 Christian Death T-shirts, you know?
Well, you're pretty good at that soon. We'll find out. Talking about the Love and Hate album. If you take Love and Hate as a certain step,
All the love.
and then... Oh, what?
It's actually entitled All the Love, All the Hate.
Well, I mean, basically all you got missing out there is Sex and Fear. I mean, that's what made the world go round, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that was our
But-
last record.
Yeah. Take it from there and say what the future is going to be, because you mentioned you wanted to talk about what is going to happen coming up, as I root around for a cigarette.
So your question is?
Well, the question's not really a question. It's like if you talk about the album and the future as well, because you can weld the two things in together.
Right.
Take it as being like a conversational piece.
Well, our records, at least since my control over production, etc., I've always been, in the beginning we were writing about the world, but from a surrealistic point of view, more from the dream state. And of course, I believe that dreams are as real as I am talking to you right now. So that if I go to bed and dream about you turning into a brontosaurus, then it's probably true.
That happens all the time. Oh.
I believe in spiritual powers far beyond our control. I don't want to give them names, as most people do, regarding whatever religion they're in. Whether it be occultist, paganistic points of view, or Christian, or Islamic, or Hinduistic, or any one of the numerous religions that have survived and still do exist to this present day. But I do believe there are powers, influence, that control certain aspects of our existence that we must be aware of. And I'm just not going to commit myself to give them names, because this is the condition of humankind, to find out what something is, and by giving it a name, thereby coming to the conclusion that one understands what they're dealing with, whether it be AIDS, or whether it be, DNA, or, whether it be gravity. It's just something that people have to give it a name, therefore they can say, well, what's that? Oh, that's gravity. And therefore, that's the end of it. You don't have to think about it anymore. Well, why do I feel this way? Well, God said feel that way. That's it. Don't have to think about it. God controls everything. God worries about everything. And that's where our downfall is where we are afraid, or at least not willing to pursue the final answer. And if you bear in mind that there is never a final answer, then your quest for finding the answers is never ending. That's it.
Somebody assured me that a certain percentage of your audience was pagans. Would you say that was true?
Yeah.
Is there a certain percentage is something else, like an actual thing you know about?
Yes, Christians, Islams, Jews. Not too many Islams. I mean, the only people, Islams are very extreme people, and the only Islamic people that are really members of our audience are people that are very open-minded and, are like children of, from a very severe Islamic family that are willing to find an alternative to their very heavy pressures that they've been living under, and have become westernized and are willing to go to a rock concert and found the religious content in our shows and records to be interesting to them.
What about the Christians, though?
Oh, well, that's our prime audience, because...
Is that the traditional British Christian thing where you're just called a Christian and actually don't believe the something thing?
Well,
So you call yourself Church of England and actually you don't even know where the local church is?
I don't think the Pope believes that he's a Christian, actually. He just says he is because it's a good position to be in. And as far as any other religion, it's the same kind of thing. They're usually people who have been oppressed by their family members to believe in one thing or another, and don't particularly like the force-fed religion that they've, been dished out since they were children, and decided that there must be an alternative, and the rock and roll lifestyle.
Well, let's get back to the you about the future. take the album that's coming out, not the live one, and take it from there, what's actually going to happen to the band? Say it, so to speak.
Well, I mean, we will be making records because making records or CDs or television appearances or videos is just a form of media. It's just a form of communication. Me talking to you, talking to this camera, and the people who are going to be playing the video and watching it on TVs in various places. I just hearing my thoughts and concepts and applying it to their existence, and which is what all of us do when we're watching television or whether we're listening to a record. We're taking someone else's art form or existence or theories and applying it to their existence. And I like to capitalize on all forms of media to bring to people what I have experienced. Not that what I have experienced is the ultimate and that I know everything. Actually, I'm a moron and I don't know anything. But then again, I'd like to say that every other human being I've ever met is a moron and doesn't know anything. You know, it doesn't matter if it's Margaret Thatcher or Ronald Reagan or George Bush or the Pope. You know, I think people are searching and clasping and grabbing for whatever answers they can find in this realm we call life. And for people to assume that they have all the answers, well, then those people are obviously extremely egotistical and insecure at the same time, because to come to the assumption that you have the answers is just, in my opinion probably doesn't amount to much, but in my opinion is just a form of insecurity. Superiority complex is just the alter ego of that. And I believe that we have to have open minds and that we should bring to each other whatever knowledge we've acquired and leave it to the individual to utilize that. It's just like this video camera is the floppy disk for the television screen that people are watching me on, and you, right now, and hearing our words and using it as relayed information to their brain cells, which they will then convert into something either useful or non-useful to their existence. And the entertainment in that and the spiritual drive behind that compels me to carry on. The future of Christian death as a society is that Christian death, as most people perceive it, as a rock band. The Christian death society is hopefully going to be a society, as it says. People who come together, whether it be of a democratic nature or of a communal nature, come together with ideas on how to survive the events of the future. And my opinion is that from everything I've studied about the past and the present and the future, taking into consideration human nature and history and religion and lots of different type of spiritual books, whether they be the Bible or whether it be the Bhagavad Gita or whether it be, you know, the writings of Aleister Crowley or anything you like. I have come to the assumption that reading things and communing with other people and learning from them things about the world, and then watching television and reading newspapers and seeing what's happening in the news, is that I'm completely convinced that in the year 1999, the war as prescribed in the Bible, the 40-year war, will begin. Whether it's 40 years or not, I don't know, but I'm sure that it will begin around that time. And I think that we have to be prepared for it, because it seems inevitable to me there will be a war, whether it's nuclear, whether it's, you know, biological, is the question. But I'm convinced that there will be catastrophes pursuing large groups of people on this planet. And the after effects of nuclear fallout or germicidal warfare or deterioration of the ozone layer are imminent, and that we are going to have to come together as people who have the foresight to see such a thing happening, to form what I have come to term the Christian Death Society. Because it doesn't seem to me that there's too many people around planning for such an event and planning what to do in the case of it, except for the government themselves, except for things like, you know, the chancellors of West Germany, who have themselves a 5-mile diameter, I believe it's a 5-mile diameter bunker in Bonn, on the outskirts of Bonn, which is completely atomic war-proof. And I'm sure people like George Bush and all the presidents who are still alive have a place to go, whether it be a space station, you know, out in the, you know, orbital zone of the planet. But there are people who have the power, who also are aware of the dangers that we possess as human beings to annihilate each other, and these people are the only ones in possession of the freedom to escape the catastrophe which they are laying out for the rest of us to have to live through. And I feel that the only way for anyone else who doesn't have the money or the resources to survive such a catastrophe is the time now for us, all of us, who are in this situation, to come together and start figuring out how we're going to survive such an event. Instead of saying, oh, it's never going to happen, you know, and just turn Neighbors on and watch it again tomorrow and pretend that, you know, everything's sweet and peachy keen and none of this is ever going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. You know, whether it's I'm wrong about 1999 or whether it's, you know, going to be long after I'm dead. But I just don't see that, you know, unless I die tomorrow.
Well, you seem quite happy. I mean, we've got 10 years to go. This is going to happen. I mean, 10 years exactly. Where do you actually expect to be then, when this happens?
7th month from the sky in 1999, and it is now the 7th month, exactly 10 years from this month.
So it could be my birthday. So you seem quite happy. You've obviously got an escape route planned.
The only way I'm going to really have a successful escape route is if I can get enough people together who collectively we will come up with ideas on how to survive. I've got various places in mind, and I would assume that most people listening to this video are probably very much involved in Christian Death, or will be. And if they are, then the Christian Death Society would like to say that right now one of the places that we're considering is the Antarctic. Very cold, but very survivable in the event of a nuclear holocaust, because of the temperature changes, etc., and the fact that there's unlimited amounts of water which won't be contaminated in its ice form when you dig it up, and that basically means to form a society that can live there, when people can live there, it's been proven, is that we actually have to come together and put our money together and our brains together and figure out how we can form a new world. I mean, I'd like to see my children's children survive this, and this has been predicted, whether it be the Bible or any other religious book or any other pagan philosophy. It does come up from time to time, whether it's Nostradamus or whether it's, you know, the words of, you know, Jesus Christ. It is something that is supposed to happen, and I believe it will happen. And
why not just top yourself?
what, put myself down like a cat?
Yeah. Well, just commit suicide.
Well, that is the alternative.
Well, how would you like to die when you do die?
Making love.
What is it specifically that you like about Christian death?
The music and the concepts, because I think that someone should be speaking out against religion, organised religion, the way it corrupts people.
Do you find that they go far enough in talking about the religion, or do you find it often a bit too obvious? What they seem to say, they say several times.
I think you have to be obvious, because the sort of people that need to be given the message need to have it stated really clearly.
But taking the people that need this message as being different to you, do you know of any people it's actually got through to? Do you think people are actually that bothered about religion?
Well, I think they should be. fair.
So when you're feeling like complete vomit, can you actually turn to the albums and it makes you feel better, or it just makes you feel more thoughtful?
No, I think it does make you feel better because it's expressing what perhaps you're trying to express, but you can't find the words, or you can't find a way that's strong enough to actually get the emotions out of you. And just by listening to that, it's like an outpouring of your own emotions. It's like voicing what you can't say so easily.
Is there one particular song that's meant more to you than any other they've done?
Yeah, I suppose Sick of Love, because basically it's got interesting biblical references in it, but there's a strong sexual undercurrent in the song. And it's basically raw emotion just screaming out in the song. And it's talking a lot about the mental pain that somebody goes through that is not usually heard or is not usually obvious, but the song really expresses it wonderfully.
You might have to actually know quite a lot about religions in general to be able to appreciate, because I mean they do tend to use Bible references occasionally, especially like on the covers and things, from lots of different religions, so from the holy books from lots of different religions, and I mean to kind of understand their religious viewpoint is quite important.
So, is there a specific reason why you actually like them? Why are you here tonight as opposed to anywhere else?
Because they're the best band.
Do you actually find much of what Christian Death do sexy?
Yeah, I think it is, definitely.
In what way?
I don't know, it's a very sort of low-key style in many ways, but it's very, I don't know, it's got gothic appeal, hasn't it? The appeal of death and darkness, which can be very sexual to a lot of people.
I just want to see the band. I think the music is, I don't know, it's got some kind of power to it, innit?
lot of people, average indie fan like a Smith fan, would probably be depressed as fuck to even listen to a Christian Death record.
Yeah, I think it's because people don't actually listen to it. Either they approach it with the wrong viewpoint, or they're not listening to it enough. They're not going deep enough into it. I think to actually really understand some of their stuff, you've got to almost get inside it.
What are the main things that you find amusing or exciting about Christian Death?
Exciting, their originality.
I mean, like, there's loads of places all over the world where they've been stopped from playing, banned from playing everything, just because of the name or because of what Valor says, to do with in lyrics in the song and everything.
Do you find they surprise you with each record they release, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, the last album's totally different to how I'd expect it to be. I mean, if you've got a title like Sex and Drugs and Jesus Christ, I mean, people are bound to ban it. You know, I mean, all posters were banned and everything.
But is there a large percentage of the audience or a small one that just come along for a good bloody noise?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think it's only a small percentage though. There's a lot of loyal Christian Death fans that come to our gigs.
What is it about them that you particularly like?
You know, their music is harder than like the Sisters of Mercy.
I mean, I know he's not being blasphemous, he knows he's not being blasphemous. It's just the way people take it.
Okay, what do you think is the best thing about them?
Best thing undoubtedly about Christian Death is the singer, his valour, without any shadow of a doubt. He's definitely the best person with a singer on stage. You know.
And
I mean, their overall music is the best, even though a lot of people have said it's blasphemous.
What? People must have said that to you?
Oh yeah, it's against God and everything. Yeah.
crystals drop. We shall collide. The pyramid of fear. Shiver the sea alive. Shiver the sea alive. Shiver the sea alive. Shiver the sea
It's not so much actually being into it as knowing about it and knowing about lots of different things. I mean, if you think how much religion has influenced the history of the world, it's pretty important, really, isn't it? I mean...
Thank you very much. You're very lovely.
Is the basic fallacy, isn't it, really? Most people just don't know what it's about anyway, and it's not a horrible, evil religion of any sort at all. I mean, the whole motto of it is, and it harm none, do what thou wilt. So you can't tell me that's an evil religion.
I tend to have very good luck after I've listened to Christian death albums, actually.
Okay, that's your lot for tonight, folks. Can you just clear the stage, please? Thank you very much.